Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin with Optimized Essentials, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you why you can't do what you know you should be doing and the secrets to willpower and self-discipline. Now, I'm sharing this with you because I myself have struggled with many occasions of not being disciplined, not feeling like doing the work that I need to do to move my life forward. And there are many insights that I've gained on the way on how to actually get yourself to do what you need to do, despite whether you feel like it or not, and how to actually build the self-discipline and the willpower needed to get shit done and accomplish your goals. Now, this could be your homework assignment, this could be your side project, your passion, your business, the thing that you know you should be doing that always runs in the back of your mind, but for some reason, you just can't do it, okay? So let me break this down to you as succinctly and as thoroughly as I can. I also recommend you watching my other videos that I've made, right? When you're not in the mood to do what you should be doing, and also how to do what you know you should be doing, because a lot of this information is going to overlap, but I'm going to give you another perspective on how this plays in and how you can attack this. So make sure you stay all the way until the end so I can share with you those secrets on how you can actually build your self-discipline and how to strengthen your willpower. Okay, so the very first thing you want to understand, I drew out a mini map because I didn't have my whiteboard with me. So the very first thing you want to understand is this: sensory overload, okay? What do I mean by this? What are your senses, right? Your sight, your hearing, your mouth, what you eat, what you smell. When your senses are overloaded with information, meaning you constantly spend time overstimulating yourself by watching videos on YouTube, by watching things on Instagram, by browsing and flipping through pictures and seeing things that excite you, excite your reward system, your dopamine. You look at models, or you're always constantly comparing yourself on social media, which I don't recommend doing. I don't do it because it just doesn't, I don't see any point in it. You know, I'd rather spend that time building my shit up, you know? So when you spend time comparing yourself, having negative emotions, having positive emotions, you're constantly scrolling. What you're doing is you're depleting your willpower. Each time, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. Each day we wake up, we have an allotted amount of energy, amount of willpower. And each time you go onto a website, each time you go onto YouTube, each time you go onto Twitter, Snapchat, whatever energy vampire that you are giving your time and your energy, your precious time and energy to, you are literally zapping and depleting your energy reserves, your finite time, your life force, your chi, your prana, right? Think about it this way. There is a sand timer, and when that sand timer is up, your life is gone, okay? And you are giving away your sand to these things. So each time that you do that, you are depleting, you know, when we talk back to willpower, you're depleting your willpower and you are conditioning yourself to what? Instant gratification, all right? When you have too much stimulation, right here, I'll go back to this, too much stimulation, and you have always instant gratification, that leads to conditioned mind for pleasure, meaning you're always seeking stimuli that will pleasure your brain, your body, right? You want to feel those chemicals. So what you are technically doing is you are conditioning yourself for instant pleasure. I want it and I want it now, okay? And you're depleting your willpower by conditioning yourself to do all the things that are instantly pleasurable right now, okay? Now, let's say that you're aware of this. Let's say that you're someone who's into personal development and you're trying to actually build yourself back up and build that willpower, build that self-discipline, and you look up videos like this, how to develop self-control, how to build willpower, how to do this, how to do that, how to learn this skill, how to learn that skill. Guess what? That's more information. And what happens when there is too much information right here? It leads to analysis paralysis, right? Now, this may or may not relate, but for the people who are trying to build a business, for someone who's trying to improve their life, for someone who's trying to actually get better at what they're doing, and they learn about something online, they see some articles, they see, something that they want to do, or, something they want to build and something they want to have. They research and research and research, and they just have all this information stuck in their mind, and they take no action because the act of learning, the act of consuming information mentally is in itself a form of pleasure, okay? You watching this video right now, for you, yes, you could be like getting insights and breakthroughs, but if you aren't acting on this, guess what happens? Right there, mental constipation. The same way you consume a bunch of food and you don't process and digest and eliminate properly, you become physically constipated. Well, what happens when you consume a bunch of information and you don't act on it? First, you become infatuated, meaning you're like, oh, wow, this information is so good. And then afterwards, guess what happens? You just don't do anything, and it becomes stuck in here, and you're mentally constipated. You're mentally congested. You're overstimulated. You have way too many back things going on in here, too many things in the background, and you are depleted of willpower. So you have ego depletion, right? You're overstimulated. You have no sense or drive, no energy, right, to do what you need to do because you simply just don't have the willpower, right? Because you've burned it all on low-level behaviors, low-level activities, right? And you are in a shit state, right? Because chances are you also probably consume a bunch of junk food, or you don't eat healthy. If you don't eat healthy, you don't have energy. You're not healthy. Now you're in a super low level of emotional state or energetic vibration. So because of this, do you see how all this happens, right? You have no physical energy. You are constantly overstimulated mentally, and you are exposed to too much information on how to change your life, but you don't act on any of it because you're overstimulated, your ego is depleted, right? And you are in a shit state. So it's like a vicious cycle that keeps repeating itself, okay? There's a few more things, right? Before I share with you how to break free from this state. Basically, you are someone who's conditioned for stimulation, instant gratification, and conditioned for pleasure, and you are unconditioned for what? For pain and long-term gain, all right? You're unconditioned for pain and long-term gain. What a shame. Ooh, that rhymed. So the idea to go from someone who is conditioned for instant gratification to someone who is conditioned for pain and long-term gain and thinking is quite a process, quite a long process. I mean, think of it like this, okay? When you say you don't have willpower and you don't have discipline, in a sense, that's real. You're right. It's like someone who's going to the gym and he wants to tackle, a 100-pound dumbbell, okay? Right? If you are trying to execute and do a project that requires an insane amount of willpower, like for me, I'm trying to type an ebook right now or a program, and it could easily be like 50,000 words, okay? Or 60,000 or 70,000, however much, right? There's a certain amount of words I need to type. If you're someone who's been conditioned for pleasure and instant gratification, you mean you're on this side, you're on side A, and you're trying to get to side Z, let's say end of the alphabet, Z, side Z, but you haven't gone to the gym and you haven't put in repetitions, you haven't conditioned yourself for short-term pain and long-term gain, then each time you go and you sit at the desk and you try to type, or you try to build out your website, or you try to do your essay, your homework, you try to work on that project, that side hustle that you want to be doing, but you haven't conditioned yourself to do it. It's like someone who's going to the gym and he's trying to lift the heaviest weight he could possibly do. It's not going to work. The key to breaking free and to become someone on path Z is you have to fill in the gaps of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You have to have a system that will take you there. This would be the perfect time to plug in my system and sell you something, but I'm a nice guy, so I'm not going to sell you shit, all right? But you're welcome to buy my programs fitness programs that I do want to sell, but that's not the point. I just, for some reason, that popped up into my mind. You know, usually people plug a program like, get this program, this ebook, and you will resolve your problem. No, this is how you do it, okay? The way you condition, the solution, right? The way you condition yourself to get to path Z is this, all right? You have to inch forward, okay? So I used 100 inches for the goal, okay? Let's say your goal is to 100, just metrics, it's, for example, say 100 metrics could be 100,000 words, okay, for my ebook, right? My example. For you, it could be losing 100 pounds. Here's the thing, okay? 100 pounds, when it gets down to pounds, it kind of gets all over the place. The essence is this. To inch forward means you basically make 1 inch of progress each day, okay? What a lot of people do is they try to make 10 inches of progress each day. That is way too much, okay? An inch of progress, when it comes down to fitness, it could be this. Walk outside for 15 minutes. Or walk outside for 10 minutes. Or if that's too hard, walk outside for 5 minutes. The reason why people can't do what they know they should be doing or don't feel like doing what they should be doing is because the thing that they should be doing is often too grandiose, right? What do the people say? Like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Literally, it's so cliche. I want you to really understand this, okay? When you try to do too much, when the idea in your mind is there's too much work to be done, the resistance, the activation energy required to get this job done is going to be way too high. But if you decrease, right? If you decrease the milestone or if you decrease the sense of achievement and you condition it, which is the key right here. Meaning for me, you know, initially I set like, oh, I need to do 1,000 words per day, right? I realized that was a little bit too much. So for me, it's as long as I type in my damn book, I'm good every day. As long as I type, even if it's one sentence, I've made it a habit to at least type one sentence into my program. So the idea is you want to condition very small steps. You want to condition the inch of progress, all right? So if your task is 100 inches, what can you do to inch your way forward to that step? Now for fitness, this could get kind of complicated if this is your goal because it often constitutes you have to change your diet, you have to make sure you're getting enough sleep, you have to make sure you're moving your body enough. So it gets kind of complicated, but for you could just cement the habit of going out for a walk for 15 minutes every night. And the way you can begin to condition yourself to get yourself to do what you need to do is by getting results, right? You'll be motivated by the results that you get, meaning as you walk more and drink more and you feel better, drink more water, and you start to feel better, you'll make it a habit of, okay, each time I don't feel good, I'll go out for a walk, I'll drink some water, and I'll feel better. And then once you condition that habit, you can begin to build on it, meaning you don't make 1 inch of progress anymore. You begin to make 2 inches, maybe 3 inches or 4 inches or 5 inches. And that's the key. You want to be someone who goes from conditioned to instant gratification, a lot of stimulation. First you want to remove that as much as you can. Cut that stimulation down, cut that information down, and begin to condition yourself for not a lot of pain, but a little bit of pain, right? Just a little bit, enough that you can handle, meaning again, I've shared in other videos, it has to be the to-do list, the task has to be so easy that you have no reason not to do it. And once you get into the habit of doing this small, minute task, even when you don't feel like it, because it's so easy that you can't not do it, you'll condition yourself to do the things that you need to do even when you don't feel like it. And you'll slowly move from this person over to this side, okay? And then there's also one last thing I want to share with you in terms of the secret for self-discipline that I have found, right? Even when I practice these principles, there are going to be times where you just don't feel like it, where you'll need to do what you need to do. But the secret to self-discipline that I have found is this, okay? It is simply having a better alternative, okay? And the best example that I can describe is this. Think of Bill Gates, right? Think of Tony Robbins. Think of someone who is heavily involved with their passion, their purpose, and think about whether or not they have to discipline this. They might have to discipline themselves for something, but let's say it's Steve Jobs or Bill Gates and they're building out a software program, okay? He has the option to do the software program or build out a new software or build out a new thing for Microsoft or build out a new iPhone app. This person could be doing this, or they could be going out to the nightclub and drinking beer or something, or getting hammered, right? If the person is very engaged and in love and in, just deeply, that's the best word I can say. That's why it's called the passion. When they're deeply in love with their job, with what they're doing here, the choice to do this as opposed to do something they don't want to do is so much easier. Meaning for me, eating healthy, I don't have to discipline myself anymore to eat healthy, okay? I prefer to eat healthy. So the secret to self-discipline is to have a lifestyle, have an option, have a choice where it's your natural preference to do this instead, right? I would rather be with a beautiful, hot girl who is a good girl, who does nice things to me, or who returns my energy invested into her, as opposed to chasing a girl who gives me a lot of headache, like a bad girl who gives me a lot of headache. So you see what I'm saying? It's so much easier to choose the discipline when that discipline is just the better option. So you want to find and create a way, something that is more compelling to you. You'd rather much be doing this the same way. Right now, you're in sensory overload, meaning you're on Instagram, Snapchat, wasting your time, but getting pain in the short term, or getting pain in the long term because you want pain in the short term. So in order for you to go from pain in the short term, in order for you to go from pleasure in the short term and pain in the long term to the reverse, someone who experiences pain, right, in the short term and pleasure in the long term, is you need to find activities and tasks that you can link your pleasure in the future. Meaning, you need to find pleasure within the task. And ideally, this is your life purpose, this is your life work. Meaning for me, it's not painful anymore to make videos. In fact, the process of making the video, once I get started, is actually very pleasurable, right? The initial resistance of I gotta sit down and I gotta film, I gotta write out my ideas. There's some resistance there, but I'd much rather be doing this than going out and partying, because I know that partying may be initially pleasurable in the short term, right? But in the long term, there's so much pain associated with it. And I've conditioned myself to be on the other side, where if I can sit through the pain just for a little bit, I can find pleasure within the task. And not just that, long term, I experience a lot of pleasure, right? So there's like a longer investment into this, okay? So I hope that covers everything, guys. This video went a little bit longer than necessary, but if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and which is the same thing, and stay subscribed and hit the notification button. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.